G'day, my name's Lance Twigg. I've been on this property since 1992 and originally came from Cowra and been on farming all my life, now in my early 60s. Last year we've been a bit of a quandary about our sowing, how it's been performing, and we were lucky enough to get onto a demonstration machine of the same as one as you see behind us here, which we did use in the last sowing season to sow a portion of our crop. We sowed 2 crops, canola and wheat, with it, and we're very impressed with the results of the germination. The lack of seed that we had to use to get the same results, or smaller quantity of seed we were using compared to get the results we had with the original machine we had here. And the speed of sowing was quite increased by an extra third, which allowed us to get over the ground a lot quicker. Plus the fuel, we were using less fuel than we were before, which was big savings for us. The germination was excellent. Actually, in the canola it was too good. We only sowed it at 3 kilos per hectare, and possibly a kilo would have done the same job. So working on those sort of things, for example with the canola, if you work canola out roughly at $10 a kilo, and putting in say 300 hectares of canola every year, your savings over a couple of years or so could be in the neighbourhood of $60,000 without going into the small print of it. It made our practices on our soils here. We have 3 or 4 different soils on the property, which are very difficult to get an even depth control with the older style machine we had before. It was a tined implement, and this machine, we find with the wheels that are next to the disc and that, keep the seed placement exactly all the time. No matter if it's undulating ground or dead flat ground, it's going exactly the same depth, and the germination makes it a lot better. And plus the soils, some soils the machine was inclined to bury itself when going through it, where this machine kept the same depth through it, no matter what sort of soil it was. It's changed our farming practices in the way that we won't have to work the ground as we did in the past. We will be relying on chemical, I suppose, a bit more, but we think that by using the minimum tillage or no till virtue with this machine, that chemicals will become less, because the weeds will not have a new bed to germinate in all the time, where your normal farming does that. We are turning the soil over and bringing lots of weeds to the surface to germinate. This one, we hope that it'll leave the seed there, and it'll eventually, with the competition, been able to get the crop away. We found with this machine that the crops were coming out of the ground up to 7 days earlier than our conventional machine, and so if they can get a start like that, it's going to beat the weeds in 9 out of 10 cases anyhow, and they won't bother at trying to establish with the crop. We feel we'll be able to increase our yields because of the plant population, which has always been a little bit dicey before, depending on the start we had. This machine having press wheels over the top of the seed, because with the light red soils that we do have here on the place, and we have heavy clay as well, but the light red soils tend to dry out very quickly, and to get the seed close enough to the surface to get it out of the ground, we're taking a risk with old machines of it drying out and not germinating, whereas this machine with the press wheels and set up, it's got the moisture to get it going and getting it out of the ground. The support from Seraphin's been great. If I ring them up about a problem, they always contact me back, and with the staff there, they've been very good and very helpful, and where some companies don't bother ringing you back, you've got to ring them all the time to chase up things. They're exactly the opposite. They go out of their way to help you that way. We had seen another well-known brand of machinery using this concept, and we're quite interested in looking into it. But the cost of it, and some doubt about how well made it was holding us back a bit, until we saw the strength and the construction of these machines compared to the opposition. Like the opposition have a machine at similar price to this, I believe, but when you compare the construction of the other brands, they're just not up to the construction standard of these ones, and their weight and how well they're made.